Out of everyone who sets New Year's resolutions, 43% of them fail at their resolution before January is over. 25% of them fail within the first week of January. And only about 9% see their resolutions through until succession. Oh, those stats are brutal. Let's talk about why this is and what you can do instead. We've all been there. It's January 1st or 2nd or 3rd or, whenever that Monday rolls around after the new year. And we are ready to eat healthy, read books, buy a gym membership, and get ripped out of your mind. But more accurately, what happens, you get halfway into a chapter of a book you've really been wanting to read, and then you set it down and never pick it up again. You buy a gym membership that you never use, and you eat healthy until it's someone's birthday party, and then you put dieting on hold until next January. In my life over the last couple years, I've learned a lot about what it takes to actually improve your life and why we often struggle to do that. And as I learned these things that I did, I was actually able to make really amazing improvements in my life where I was getting up earlier, getting things done, and having more free time. And I'm gonna tell you what, it had nothing to do with making a New Year's resolution. So without further ado, I have for you guys today 5 reasons New Year's resolutions fail and what you can do instead. The first reason I have for you guys today that New Year's resolutions fail is that you are too physically or mentally exhausted to add or maintain something new in your life. Starting and maintaining a new activity or goal in your life takes energy. You only have so much energy each day. For many people who haven't learned to take good care of themselves, they're already running on empty. And if you're running on empty, there's no way you can add something new and maintain it because you're too exhausted. So if you're too exhausted, don't bother. I'm just kidding. If you're too exhausted, you need to reprioritize. If you want your life to be different, you have to do things differently. That means if you're too exhausted for implementing new things, you are going to have to clear up space in your life somehow. Start with asking yourself, is there too much on my plate mentally or physically? When I talk about mentally versus physically, with the physical realm, you can actually have too much that is on your plate time-wise. There's just not enough time in the day to do all these things you want to do. Mentally, you can be mentally overloaded with the pressure or stress or whatever is going on in your life, and that can make you too mentally burnt out to add anything new. So you got to ask yourself, what would I need to change or give up or do differently that would free up some energy for me so that I actually had time or mental energy to put toward this new thing I want to do. This could mean taking some stuff off of your plate. This could mean not helping other people as much, or it could just mean adjusting your expectations. Maybe you're just putting a lot of mental pressure on yourself that's exhausting you because your expectations are too high. And you might think, okay, well, I want to change my life, but I don't want to give anything up and I don't want to really change the way that I think. And to that, I would say, then just stay where you are and keep doing what you're doing, because you're not going to be able to change your life if you don't change the way you're doing things. For me, what really helped with this was getting therapy, reading books, and learning good coping techniques, because for me, a big block was overwhelming myself mentally and emotionally to the point that I would burn out. So I was always in this feedback loop of doing too much, expecting too much, exhausting myself, and then burning out and giving up on anything new that I tried. So when I cleared up a lot of mental space and had my priorities better aligned, I was actually able to have a lot more energy to actually put toward doing new goals that I really wanted to do. The number 2 reason why people quit their New Year's resolutions is that they tried to change too much too fast. Oftentimes when the new year rolls around, we are so excited to implement all of these crazy, awesome goals that we want to do, and we try to do it all at once. We want to eat healthy and exercise and read more books and fix up the house, and it's just too much to be sustainable long term. When we try to overload ourselves with changing too much at once, we will often burn out and revert back to whatever we were doing before. A Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, says, "No great thing is created suddenly." So the key here is to start small. Start small and work on that one small change until it is formed into a habit. Once that one small change is formed into a habit, then you can add another small change. Because here's the key, you have a limited amount of energy every day, right? But doing a task that is a habit requires far less energy than doing a task that is not a habit. So if you can start slowly stacking up these new habits, you can drastically change your life. So for example, instead of starting off this year by saying, I'm going to eat healthy, start small. Pick one small thing to do, like I'm going to eat vegetables every night with dinner, or I'm going to eat a healthy breakfast every day. How can I make sure to make that happen? And you might think, what's the point? That's too easy. It's not going to make enough of a difference. Like I want to go hardcore and I want to lose weight and I want to lose it fast. But to that, I would say it's way better for you in the long term to eat a healthy breakfast every day this year than it is for you to eat healthy for 3 days and then burn yourself out and then go back to shoving your face with Taco Bell every day. So how do you get a small change to turn into a habit? Studies about this vary. It can take as short as 18 days to make a new thing that you're doing into a habit. It can take as long as over 200 days. Depends on the person. It depends on the difficulty of the task. There's a lot that goes into it, but what I would recommend is start with 3 weeks of doing one small change. And after that, if it feels like you have the time and space to add another thing, go ahead and stack on top of that. Another thing to keep in mind here is that oftentimes we as humans, when we think about goals, we think about the end and we don't segment our goals. So we think, okay, I'm over here at point A. I want to be over here at point B. Let's say over here is I'm not active at all and I'm eating and over here is I'm eating really well and I'm working out all the time. And we look at that gap. Our brain immediately looks at that gap and sees how much effort it's going to take to close that gap, and we get crushed under the weight of how much effort that is going to take, and it smashes to bits any motivation you might have had to begin with. So you really need to get in the mindset of segmenting your goals. So instead of thinking about how much effort it's going to take to get from here to over here, think about how much effort it's going to take to get from here to right here. And that is much more sustainable across time. If you really want to improve your life, you need to see it as a marathon and not a sprint. No one can sprint forever. And oftentimes when we get excited about a new goal, that's awesome, but you have to almost kind of hold yourself back a little bit so that you don't burn out, because you will. It happens to most people who try to treat changing their life like a sprint. Start small, build little habits, build on top of those little habits, and keep it sustainable long term. Number 3 is you don't believe your goals are achievable. And even though this is number 3 on my list, I actually think it's the number 1 reason why people quit their goals. The truth is, your life can get better. You can make your life better no matter what your circumstances are currently. But we get caught up and stuck because for some of us, it's really hard for us to believe that these goals that we want to achieve are actually achievable for us. Victor Vroom is a motivational researcher and a professor at Yale, and he has what is called expectancy theory, which basically says that people are motivated to do something to the degree that they believe that something will lead to their desired outcome. So you have to believe your desired outcome is possible, or you won't feel motivated to work toward that goal. Then you also have to believe that the things that you're doing are going to achieve that goal. So obviously, mentally, there is a lot involved when we're trying to improve our life, and it's important to keep that in the front of our mind. If you have a goal you want to accomplish, you have to ask yourself, do I believe that this is possible for me to achieve? If not, why do I not think so? And this could be different for everybody, but exploring any potential mental blocks you have around achieving your goals can be really beneficial. When you ask yourself, is this goal achievable, and you don't think that it is, try to ask yourself what goal you think would be achievable. Maybe getting ripped out of your mind sounds amazing, but you don't believe it's achievable. But maybe jogging 3 times a week for 10 minutes is something that you think is achievable for you. You don't want to go headfirst into a goal unless you believe you can achieve it. So start smaller with the overall goal if you need to. The number 4 reason why people give up on their New Year's resolutions is that they don't believe in themselves. I found this cool quote online that said, "You'll never rise higher than the way you see yourself." In my past hypnotherapy training, what I learned about human behavior is that the majority of our actions are dictated by the way that we see the world and the way that we see ourselves. So if you have a particularly negative view of yourself, you may really struggle to implement any new positive changes in your life. Part of that reason could be because those positive changes don't align with your identity, the way you see yourself. And part of it could be because maybe you feel unworthy of the changes. There's a lot that can go into it. Ultimately, you got to keep in mind that we get really stuck in the way that we see ourselves and even in the way that we see our limitations. So for example, in your vision of yourself, you may currently not see yourself as the person that goes to the gym or the person that eats healthy because you haven't done that in the past. And if you don't see yourself as someone doing those things, it will feel very contrary to your mind when you start doing those things, and it won't feel like it's you, and so your brain may try to get you to stop doing those things. So in order to really change your life, you really have to change the way you see yourself. You have to learn to see yourself as someone who goes to the gym or someone who eats well or someone who has good self-control. You actually have to start building this new vision of yourself. And that's no easy task. Another thing that makes this really tricky for people is that because you've failed at New Year's resolutions in the past, you kind of have this idea of yourself that you're someone who fails at New Year's resolutions. In failing those resolutions in the past, you've broken trust and confidence in yourself, and you see yourself as someone who's just going to fail when you try to start something new. So then you get in this weird feedback loop of setting goals that are too big subconsciously so that you will fail them, so that you can prove to yourself your vision of yourself is accurate, and that vision of yourself says that you can't achieve new things sustainably. This is why starting small and really committing to yourself to that one little small thing is so powerful, because you can rebuild trust and confidence in yourself by doing that one small thing consistently. This was a massive game changer for me, because I remember after I implemented several small goals that turned into habits back to back, I felt absolutely incredible. I felt so badass. I was like, I can do new things. I can make my life better. And I didn't know that I could do that. It was crazy. My last tip in this area is that you need to view these changes in your life as lifestyle changes, not as New Year's resolutions. Lifestyle change implies that this is a change that is happening, that is permanent in your life. It helps your mind to conceptualize that you are the thing that is changing, and that this isn't just a temporary change that's going to be tossed out the window at the first birthday party or the first bump in the road that comes along. My number 5 and final reason today for why people fail their New Year's resolutions is insufficient planning, tracking, and accountability. Back when I was in college, I was working 2 part-time jobs in addition to my full load of classes. I remember one of my professors saying to me at the time that organization was half the battle. And that is absolutely true. The only way I survived being so physically and mentally overwhelmed was by staying very organized. Ultimately, life is hard because we have a lot we're all trying to manage. But it is way easier if we can take the time to actually schedule and plan out what is going on in our lives. You will have a much easier time improving your life if you can effectively schedule and plan and make sure that you're not overscheduling yourself, physically or mentally. For me, organizing my chores and my work projects onto a specific weekly schedule was a massive game changer in my life. Because not only did it make me more productive, but it actually gave me way more free time. Because I knew exactly what I needed to do on what day to make sure that the week flowed really well. It also gave me a stopping point at the end of every day. I'll probably do a video talking more in depth about that, so keep an eye out, because scheduling my week out was one of the best things in my life that I've ever done to implement positive change. As far as tracking goes, a lot of people fail at their goals simply because they don't know how to make their goals or their resolutions trackable and specific. They have the goal to get fit or lose weight or read more books, but they don't make it specific and measurable. So don't be so vague that you say, this week I'm going to eat healthy. Instead, be specific, be measurable, be trackable, and like I said before, start small. This week I'm going to eat broccoli with every dinner that I have. Or this week I'm going to do 10 minutes of cardio on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Every Sunday, I plan out my week, I track my goals, and it's super, super helpful. Lastly, in this section, accountability. For many of us, having someone that we're accountable to with our goals is massively helpful to maintain motivation. So don't keep your goals a secret. Our reaction is to want to keep our goals a secret because we don't want to look like a fool when we fail. But if your goal is small, you're a lot less likely to fail at it. So tell someone about your small goal, and if you can, get a friend to do it with you, and that accountability can really keep you motivated a lot longer. So the last thing I want to tell you in this video is that implementing small little changes that you form into habits really has a snowball effect. The more that I started stacking all of these little habits on top of each other, the better I felt about myself. And the better I felt about myself, the more I actually had the energy to make bigger changes in my life and more confidence to make those bigger changes. And so it just had this massive snowball effect that really changed everything for me. It really started to spread out into all areas of my life, like with my house chores, with my work projects, with my friends, with taking good care of myself. It all had this really cool snowball effect. And I still feel the effects of that to this day as I continue to add to my repertoire of good habits. I used to just spend so much time spinning in my own mess. And now I feel like I'm actually moving forward slowly and sustainably, and I feel really proud and a lot more confident in myself. That's all I have for you guys today. Remember to make lifestyle changes and not New Year's resolutions. Comment down below what small thing you're going to try to implement over the next few weeks, and Happy New Year!